Well, in 1979, I developed a senior building in Lake Villa called Cedar Village, which was an atrium building in a wooded site. And it was my view at that point that the manager, I didn't want a manager who knew how to manage buildings. I want a manager who knew how to build people.
Right.
So the manager of the housing could do the bookkeeping, collect the rents, and do that, but she kept a happy home for 80 families, or 80 seniors there. And the function she performed over the years, her name was Barbara Brown, and I thought of her as a concierge. That anything that a senior wanted from the community, as she talked to them, she would be able to connect them to that resource.
Correct.
That was in '79. Along about 1990 to 95, we started getting computers around. And then at that point, Barbara got a computer so she can facilitate her work in connecting people to resources. And then she started helping a couple of the seniors learn how to use the computers themselves.
Wow.
And then we put in a computer learning center in the building so all the seniors could learn how to use a computer.
Got, monitors and different equipment in, and
well, it's not
the
that
equipment was bought for them.
Yeah, well, we had a computer learning center at that point, so there's 5 computers that people could share out of the 80 in the building, and they were able to do that like you could in a library. But then in 1996, I started doing more housing with the Chicago Housing Authority, so I was responsible for 8 buildings, about 2,000 senior units. And I started putting in computer learning centers in those buildings. Now, the CHA didn't have any money at that point for these centers, but I said we can take the part of the management fee that would otherwise be put in my wife's checking account, went into the creation of computer learning centers. So we did that for about 8 years. The thought was that we would both connect people to resources and then, like giving them the ability of fishing, teach them how to use the computer so they can access resources on their own. So then I got involved at the invitation of HUD into a large lawsuit with them that kept me preoccupied for about 5 years while computer learning centers went on. And then in 2009, the President's stimulus program led to the creation of something called the Broadband Technology Opportunity Program, BTOP. And that was designed to stimulate the use of computers by at-risk populations. So I didn't do anything the first year of the plan. I just thought I would watch it in 2009. And I saw at the end of 2009 that there were no programs for seniors out of any of these.
Correct.
So I said that was sort of like low-hanging fruit. You know, they're the greatest at risk, the least users of the internet. If you really want to be serious about equipping people to work in the 21st century, that's a logical target. So I then set out to organize a coalition of 23 buildings in 10 northern Illinois cities, in Rock Island, Moline, Rockford, DeKalb, Henry County, Grundy County, Joliet, Oak Park, Kankakee.
And how did you design that? How did you?
I did them so they would be roughly representative of all the types of buildings in the United States.
Okay. Okay.
Some rural, some urban, some all black, some mixed black, trying to be representative of the various groups.
Now let's define, you keep using the term at-risk for the audience who may not know what that means. When you say at-risk seniors, define what it means, at-risk means in this topic.
Well, generally the government regards vulnerable populations or at-risk populations of people who are poor, people who are older, people who are handicapped or disabled, people who don't speak English, and people who are poorly educated.
Okay.
Those are individuals who have some impediments to being able to work effectively in the current society. So the government program was to do that, so I selected these 23 buildings in 10 communities, and then thought it would be desirable to start out by figuring out as a baseline where they started from, which is important. Nobody wants to do that in demonstrations. They want to just start demonstrating.
Absolutely. Right. We always want to go right here and forget the 1, 2, and just hit 3 right on.
Yeah, and I said, we really should figure out what we're starting with, one, and what we know about that and where we want to go, number two.
I like the way you think. Somehow
It's a Swedish way
I
of thinking.
like it.
Swedish way of thinking.
I just blame everything in the
Sweden.
Sweden.
That's
Okay,
all right.
the
I'm
Swedish way of
going to
thinking.
Sweden.
But I'd like to ask another question because
One
you,
last
okay.
thing. Then you do the interventions to get from here to there.
Yeah.